further back to 1791 with the discovery of anthracite coal near Mock Chunk, Pennsylvania. The Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company's canal, built to move the coal east, was replaced by the Lehigh Valley Railroad, which reached from the coal fields near Penn Haven Junction, east to New York City, and west to Buffalo, New York. Affectionately known as the Valley, the LV relied on black diamonds for everything from its main source of traffic to its logo, and for the name of its premier passenger train. The decline in the use of anthracite coal following World War II forced the Valley to tighten its belt and concentrate on forwarding bridge traffic to and from Buffalo connections, Nickel Plate, Wabash, and Chesapeake in Ohio. The continued erosion of the industrial base in the northeast forced the Lehigh Valley to join Conrail in 1976, where its main line was sacrificed in favor of former New York Central and Pennsylvania Railroad routes from New York City to Buffalo. The only exception was its main line east of Allentown, Pennsylvania to Oak Island Yard outside New York City. This route remains a crucial segment of Conrail, and it is on this line at Easton, Pennsylvania, Lehigh Valley Milepost 77, that we begin our look at the Valley from 1969 to 1975 through the films of Charles and Kenneth Beeler. Charlie Beeler hired on with the Lehigh Valley as a towerman in March 1940 and often worked the tower at Easton, Pennsylvania, across the Delaware River from Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Peaburg was a major interchange point for the Valley with the Lehigh and Hudson River, Lackawanna, and Pennsylvania railroads. The Valley's depot in Easton was built beneath the main lines, and Jersey City to Buffalo train JB3 is about to pass over and through the depot complex. Operator George Conrad returns to the tower after handing train orders to COJ-32's caboose. COJ-32 came off the C&O Railway at Buffalo, bound for Jersey City. Signal maintainer Henry Sant patrols the interlocking to keep things moving smoothly. Two F units and an RS-11 returned light to Bethlehem after delivering a cut to the PRR in Peaburg. On the Valley, F units were nicknamed bombers due to their distinctive droning sound. In the next scene, a loaded ore train strains up the 1% grade from the Pennsy toward Bethlehem Steel's facility in Bethlehem. Just across the Lehigh River from the tower was the Jersey Central's Easton Depot, seen as Lehigh and Hudson River's HO6 passes, bound for Warwick, New York. Ex-Wabash Railroad F units, leased to ease the power shortage caused by the Valley's assumption of the Jersey Central's Pennsylvania operations in March 1972, were a common sight on the Lehigh Valley for a year after the takeover. An F unit eases through the depot's trackage with a high, wide, and long load. A heat exchanger built by Air Products of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, en route to oil fields in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Known as pups on the valley, 3 EMD SW8s claw their way out of the Penn Central's Belldale yard with ore for the steel mills in Bethlehem. 3 pups were rated to pull 45 loaded ore cars up the grade from the Penn Central's yard. GP38AC number 310 is dwarfed by its train as it passes the ramp leading to the eastern and northern branch. The E&N's ramp lifted it over the valley's main line, the Lehigh River, and the CNJ's main on the north side of the river. The E&N was a busy branch which went 11 miles north to Belfast Junction near Nazareth. The high-wide's idler flats served to not only support the length of the loads, but also spread their weight over more area. Occasionally, Lehigh Valley crews would use Penn Central power to take an ore train directly to Bethlehem. Engineer Jim Beringer departs for Peaburg with the empties. A sight every towerman hates, a ballast cleaner, which not only digs dirt out of the track, but every signal cable as well. The switches and signals won't work right for a week. There is no ballast to clean here though, because the ballast cleaner is above the depot, where the rails are clipped to ties sitting on the depot's concrete roof. In the following scene, COJ 32 makes a run for the Musconetcong Mountain grade. Number 26. Leaving Easton, we take a 12-mile ride west of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, the Lehigh Valley's headquarters, and home for its biggest customer, Bethlehem Steel. Located just west of the Easton Depot was the Lehigh Valley Dining Car Department's warehouse. Dinnerware, silverware, and linens were stored here until the final Valley passenger train ran in 1961. 1.5 miles further west, we passed South Easton Shops, which served Richard Yard and industries in Easton and Phillipsburg. Richard Yard was drastically downgraded after the Valley assumed operation of the large C&J Redding Hump Yard in Allentown in 1972. Florence Yard in Bethlehem wound its way between the steel mill and the Lehigh River. Bethlehem Steel also owned the Philadelphia, Bethlehem, and New England Railroad, whose switchards prowled the complex doing in-plant switching. The next several scenes are trackside between Easton and Bethlehem, at Freemansburg and Dempsey's. For most of its corporate life, the Valley stayed on the south and west sides of the Lehigh River between Bethlehem and Allentown. But in 1965, a trackage rights agreement with the Jersey Central allowed Valley trains the option of using the Central's L&S division to Lehighton. From there, west of Wilkes-Barre, alternate portions of either road were abandoned. This was a precursor to the Central's retrenchment from Pennsylvania entirely in 1972. Next, LV2 passes the Easton to Florence Yard, and two RS3s prepared to deliver a cut to the Philadelphia, Bethlehem, and New England. A burro crane enters the old passenger main line at Union Street Tower as it begins its day's work. In the next two scenes, the eastbound Hazleton Local passes through Hawkandaqua, and COJ 32 threads its way along Blue Mountain at Lizard Creek Junction, milepost 115, near Lehigh Gap. JU Tower guarded the east end of the ex-CNJ Allentown Yard, as well as the junction with the Reddings North Penn branch, used by Valley trains to reach the yard. After westbound bombers on a short turnaround past the tower, LV's MJ2 and Lehigh and Hudson Rivers HO6 depart. In the Allentown Yard, two of the Valley's 17th century 628s head for the roundhouse after yarding their train. Nicknamed White Elephants for the attractive paint scheme they were delivered in, the Valley purchased 8 Century 628s new from Alco and 9 ex-Monon 628s from Alco in 1967. The big Alcos were the Valley's most powerful locomotives, and their only 6-axle units. Former Pittsburgh and Lake Erie switchers leased from new owner Bangor and Aroostook eased the Valley through the locomotive shortage resulting from its acquisition of the C&J's Pennsylvania operations. Switchers were also leased from the Pittsburgh and Shawmut. The Reading Railroad remained a tenant in the yard, with main lines from Harrisburg and Philadelphia entering opposite ends of the yard. The Valley's acquisition of the Allentown Hump Yard allowed it to downgrade Florence Yard and close Richard Yard, East Penn Yard, and Packerton Yard near Lehighton. Number 632 leads JB3 past our tower at the west end of the yard and up the former CNJ L&S division to Lehigh. The head brakeman prepares to pick up train orders from operator Ed Mink. We pause to watch the action near WK Tower, 2 miles west of our tower. Westbound at Catasauqua, we passed through the 4-track CNJ bridge. Although only 2 tracks were ever installed, the Central obviously had big plans for expansion on this route. We were aboard a Lehigh Valley High Rail car with Rules Examiner Dick Tauber, Dispatcher Fred Stump, and Towerman Jake Glenn and Charlie Beeler, taking a road trip to qualify these men on the territory from Penhaven Junction to Fraser. Efficient operation dictates that the dispatchers and CTC operators know the railroad firsthand, and trips like these pay for themselves 100-fold. The tower at Palmerton was still standing when Charlie filmed this trip, officially so he could refresh his memory periodically. We will visit a number of these locations later at trackside, including this one at the west end of Hazards. The depot at Weisport. The former CNJ main line is visible to the right as we drop down the connection, built in 1965, to the Lehigh Valley at Lehighton, milepost 119.3. HQ Tower at Lehighton will soon be remoted from Easton Tower. After we duck under the old CNJ, Packerton Yard will come into view. Packerton, named in honor of Asa Packer, the Lehigh Valley Railroad's founder, was one of 4 yards downgraded after the Valley's acquisition of the Allentown Hump Yard. Pups off the eastbound Hazleton job idle on the left. The Packerton Yard office is on the left, just before we pass Packerton Junction. At Packerton Junction, Thorpe. We stay on the Bear Mountain curve at Jim Thorpe, milepost 122.7, as Asa Packer's mansion is prominent across the river. The CNJ's main line crosses over the valley at Coalport. Early in the 20th century, the valley ran excursion trains to bring tourists to the Juanita Resort Hotel at Glenanoco. It is up grade past Hetchel, milepost 125. The abandoned C&J right-of-way is visible on the right as we enter Oxbow Curve. Milepost 130 at Old Penhaven is just east of M&H Junction, where the coal branches serving the Hazleton area begin. The Jersey Central crossed the valley on diamonds at Penhaven Junction prior to the 1965 track consolidation. As we approach the east end of Rockport Tunnel, milepost 136.8, we see a boxcar in the hot box set-out spur. At Rockport Tunnel, we pause for eastbound LV2 and a set of pushers to pass. The ice cleaning crew highballs the track car through the tunnel. The tracks in the tunnel were moved closer together to permit larger freight cars through, and the reduced lateral clearance resulted in an installation of an automatic interlocking, which would permit only one train at a time through the tunnel. High rail cars required a Form 19 train order to pass. Hickory Run, milepost 141. Visible on the right at Tannery, the Hayes Creek branch also served the Hazleton area. At Bridgeport, we cross back to the west side of the Lehigh River. At Fraser, the track to the left leads to the original Lehigh Valley main line, single-tracked in 1965. Known as the escape route, it was used by high-wide shipments due to tunnels and cuts on the old C&J line. As Dick works to clear the track car from the main line, Jake, Fred, and Charlie stretch their legs and direct traffic. The light snowfall has been accumulating all day. The trip back would not be as relaxing as the trip up. They ended up in a snowbank at Whitehaven. Back at trackside, we follow the L&S to Lehighton, beginning at Siegfried with a westbound coal train, an eastbound LV2. JB3 is seen passing hazards with new U-23Bs, and on a different day at Packerton Yard. Dawn on the Hazleton branch, westbound near Iron Bridge. Working our way west, we see COJ 32 at Rockdale, JB3 at Rockport, and LV2 at Mud Run. Leaving Mud Run, we stop next at Hayes Creek as JB3 and its helper begin a parade of trains, including COJ 32, eastbound light helpers, Extra 409 East, a westbound coal train, JM1, and CNJ's AC3. JB3 is the first to pass Hayes Creek with white elephants on the head end and a set of bombers pushing. JB3's helpers cut off and headed back east to assist a westbound coal train and its helper that were stalled at Oxbow Curve. This was AC-3's final run. The next day its symbol would change to AW-1. At Whitehaven Tunnel, JB-3 passes with the helpers on the head end, followed by LV-2. At Burgers, we catch any 87. JB-3 fights its way up grade near Crestwood. Solomon's Gap marked the crest of the LNS's route over Penobscot Mountain, where we see JB-3 starting west after a meet. West of Wilkes-Barre, the Lehigh Valley followed the Susquehanna River to Sayre, Pennsylvania, near the New York state line. In these scenes at Falls interlocking, milepost 195.4, BJ4 and an extra east depart. Standing Stone, and Ulster. Sayre, Pennsylvania, milepost 271, was the location of the Valley's main locomotive and car shops. While here, we will take a look at the branch to Binghamton, New York, operated in conjunction with the Delaware and Hudson. Then we will join Ken Beeler as he heads west over the Buffalo Division to visit Van Etten Junction, Manchester, Rochester Junction, and Niagara Junction in the fall of 1975. But back at Sayre, the D&H's Sharks are on the point of train OF2, the daily Binghamton to Sayre connection. One of the Sharks died at Waverly, New York, and the train had to be helped in by a Valley GP38. The Sayre shopman remembered enough about Baldwin's, though, to get them repaired for the return trip to Binghamton on F01 that afternoon. Ken caught F01 eastbound on the Valley's Auburn branch near Tioga Center, New York. West of Sayre, we catch JB3 at milepost 289 as we head for Van Etten Junction, milepost 285.8, where Mercury 1 heads west to Buffalo behind U-23Bs, and the Ithaca pickup branches off to its namesake city. Ken caught RS2 number 213 switching next to the abandoned coal dock at Manchester, milepost 359.3, and heading west at Blacksmith Interlocking and Quaker Interlocking. At Rochester Junction, milepost 379.5, locals abound as number 218 prepares to head back to Buffalo and number 213 heads north to Rochester. Train NE1 passes signal 404.1 near Stafford, New York. Apollo 1, the hot piggyback run-through train with the Norfolk and Western, has a clear signal at Niagara Junction, milepost 438. The Buffalo train dispatchers were located in the white trailer behind the tower. The years after 1976 would find the valley's traffic diverted by Conrail to the ex-New York Central Buffalo-New York City route or to the ex-Pensy line through Harrisburg. The 125-plus year history of the route of the Black Diamond was drawing to a close, but thanks to the films of Charlie and Ken Beeler, we are able to recall these scenes of happier days on Asa Packers Railroad. We would like to thank you for joining us and leave you with these final scenes along the Lehigh Valley Railroad of the B&O pickup at Niagara Junction, a short turnaround with RS3 number 216 at Freemansburg, Pennsylvania, and LV2 at Clifton Springs, New York.